Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Commando Pro here with part 2 of my Masteries setup. If you missed the first part, it'll be down in the description. I went over the utility Masteries. I think that has the first two Masteries that you should go for as a beginner. That's why we started on that one. Now the offense Masteries I don't think need as much of a description when I'm going through them. I'll just kind of be going quickly over each one because they're pretty self-explanatory and they do basically exactly what they say. The only difference is knowing where to put your points, which especially as a beginner you're going to be looking at this initial tree here, which is pretty much what everyone has for a setup. These two right here are the two that you're going for, which is precision and cruelty. With precision increases your critical rate, which increases the amount of critical hits that you get, increasing your how much damage you do. Cruelty, in the same boat, increases critical damage, which paired with precision increases the damage that you do per critical hit, so therefore also doing more damage. Critical hits in this game, if you don't already know, are basically what you're going for all the time. With synergies and masteries, you're trying to raise that critical hit pretty much as high as you can within reason, because like as this next mastery, which is lesser precision, it's not quite as important just because of the low percentage that it turns out to be. I think it goes up to 2.5%, so just not enough. And for those points that you're wasting compared to using these two, the only time that you would use these two is if you can't afford to go any higher or you're not planning on playing this game for the end game. Then sure, go for these two. They just cost gold. They don't cost units and stony cores and stuff as these ones do. Starting off at the beginning of the tree, strength, pretty simple. It just increases your attack of your champions, and same with greater strength. It just raises it by a percentage. Both of them aren't a bad thing. They just don't give you enough of an increase to actually be worth using the points in those two. Pierce, this is a good one just for increasing that damage again, plus it also has a very high increase for your PI of your champions. Same with courage. It does help you when you're below 50%. You'll see an increase in your attack, but mainly this is also for a PI increase. So this one definitely I wouldn't worry about until way later in the game. Same with the 2 points in Pierce here, because they're just not that helpful compared to other masteries. But if you're looking for that higher PI in your champs, those two are helpful. Down here on the bottom, we have Extended Fury and Enhanced Fury. Enhanced Fury just raises the effectiveness of your Fury, and Extended Fury extends the time of your Fury. I don't use these. I don't find them that helpful. Plus, you don't get much of a PI boost out of them. This is Mutant Genesis. All this does is reduce the bleed time for mutant champions, or how long they are affected by bleed. Just again, don't find it that useful. Pure skill, like I've heard good things about it. I've never tried it myself, so I don't know how effective this is, and I've never seen anyone using it. So if you do use this, let me know down in the comments if you find it worth it. Taking away that much armor can be very helpful with critical hits, especially if you're using people like Black Widow, which increases her critical rate and her critical damage when she uses her specials. So for that kind of spot, it's helpful. Or here we have what we call our suicide masteries. We call them that because they reduce your health in some way with giving you an increase in attack or special attack. The only real reason to use these anymore is if you're going for special things like Labyrinth of Legends, or you're going for a real high arena grind, or if you're trying to get a Legends title. which is if you finish both heroic and master in the top 100 people, fastest 100 people in the first 2 weeks of the event quest coming out. So we're just gonna go over these real quick. You got glass cannon that reduces your maximum health, but then increases your attack by a percentage. And then this one is recoil, where it increases your special attack damage by a percentage, but you lose a chunk of your health every time you use the special. So next up we have Liquid Courage, which poisons your champion for 0.6% of their health per second for an increase in their attack. Then you have Double Edge, which you lose a percentage of your health over a determined amount of time for an increase in your attack again. Now both Liquid Courage and Double Edge, they have their uses, and also can be offset close to completely by a defensive mastery called Willpower, which we'll get more into in the next video. But what it does is for every debuff you have, you get a health regen, so there is a spot for that. The main problem with that is if you're on a heal block node, or if you're fighting an opponent that has heal block, then you're losing all that damage the whole time, and you'll be dying very quickly, especially if you have both of them on. And down at the bottom we have our newest masteries. Now most of these are pretty good, especially these last two here, but we'll go over them here. Despair, whenever you put a debuff on the opponent, they have a smaller chance, or they regen by a smaller amount. This goes up to 15% at rank 3. And so if you have, I believe it's 7 debuffs that you need, will stop your opponent from healing altogether, such as if you multi-stack bleeds or armor breaks or a mixture of any of them, stuns. You can make it so they don't heal at all. The next up we got Deep Wounds. Now what this does is it makes your bleeds last longer. I think at rank 5 it's 2.5 seconds, and so this increases the damage of all your bleed champs, such as Wolverine and X-23, yeah, and any of those. And because it doesn't reduce how much damage they do per second, it stays the same and just prolongs it, so you end up doing more damage per bleed. And plus, if you have more health than they do, then it also will take a percentage of their max health instantly for every bleed that you put on them. Next up we have Assassin. Now this is a very good mastery for people who are looking to be a boss killer and do Labyrinth of Legends and one more thing. Oh, Realm of Legends. What this does is it gives you a significant increase in your attack when your enemies are below 18%. 18% doesn't seem like much, but when you're fighting those bosses and stuff like that, their health is so high that the last 18% is still a huge chunk to get rid of. So this helps bring them down a lot quicker, and then on top of it, it decreases enemies' defense abilities by 20%. And if you start fighting the enemy when they're below 18%, your champions also gain a 30% offense ability increase. The only one in this section that I don't find really much use for is Unfazed. Now, all this does is when an enemy evades, your champion have a percentage chance to stack critical an increased critical damage for their next critical hit and become unstoppable for a second. if someone does use this, please let me know down in the comments, like, if it's really actually effective. I don't see where it'd be a big mastery to go for, especially if they're not cheap. None of these masteries over here are cheap. The Suicide Masteries or the new ones, they all cost a decent amount of stony cores or the carbonium cores. So they're not cheap at all. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Part 3 will be coming out shortly. If you have any suggestions for what you like to use or what you do different, please leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.